Hi everyone. Very nice good morning. I am Ravichandra Ganesh, Assistant Professor, Dr. MJR Educational Research Institute, Mechanical Engineering Department. I am here to introduce today's session speaker, Mr. S. Ganesh. He is very young and energetic man. He was completed his BE in Civil Engineering Department in 2006, and he was completed MBA in the year of 2011, and he has got two PG degrees, and one is in construction management in the year 2010, and similarly Masters of Engineering in environmental management in Anna University. And his area of interest as well as the work experience, he has providing the engineering services for business units in the area of WTP, STP, SCTP for both tender as well as the operating jobs. And similarly, he is having the checking the basic engineering package BEP for all the treatment plant, including the process flow diagram, layout, hydraulics, flow diagram, and process instrumentation diagram. Checking of general arrangement drawings for all units for the treatment plants, getting approval from the client and consultants for all process engineering drawing and document. He was a good trainer and guiding his subordinates. Also, he's sharing knowledge to all his team members. Actually, he worked in previously East Coast Construction India Limited, and 2007 onwards, he's working in the L&T. He's having a great experience in the L&T company as a process engineer. And today, his topic is biological neural removal in wastewater treatment. So it is an honor to Mr. Ganesh sir as with us today. I am sure today we will be getting very more enthusiasm, energy boost up topic by sir. And once again, I welcome to all for this session. Thank you, sir.
So thank you,
Heartily
sir.
welcome
Thanks
to
for
you.
the introduction.
Thank you.
Good morning, one and all. It gives me immense pleasure and great privilege to address this faculty development program organized by Dr. MJ University. I personally thank my professor, Dr. Amal Raj, Anna University, and Dr. Vijay Kumar for giving me an opportunity to speak in this forum. Here, my topic is about biological nutrient removal in wastewater treatment plant. My flow of presentations will be, it will be like introduction, what is the need of this biological nutrient removal, and what is ASM model, comparison. These are only the technologies, different. We are going to discuss of different technologies in aerobic itself. Like there are many technologies available like A2O, SBR, and we are going to have some models and what about the results and disclosure.
Sir,
This will
excuse
be
me,
my
sir.
flow presentation.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
excuse me, sir. Sir, your presentation is not visible, sir.
I have shared it, so just a second, I'll check it out.
Okay.
Is it visible right now, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's visible right now, sir.
Yes, sir. My
Sir,
flow presentation.
kindly hide the bottom icon, sir. Bottom hide. In this, you have a column, no, sir. It's available in the screen itself. Stop sharing and hide.
Okay. Is that okay now, sir?
Yes, sir. It's okay, sir. You can go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So my flow of presentations will be introduction, why we are going to study this biological nutrient removal, what is the need of that, and what is ASM models, and what is the comparison between A2O and SBR process. All these process will come under only aerobic this thing, and modeling of these models using some kinetic softwares, and what about the results and discussion. This will be my flow of my presentation. First, we need to understand what will happen if the nutrient is going to present in the once the wastewater is being there and we are going to treat that and it is going to let into the river, if the nutrient is going to present in the water, what are the things is going to happen? Obviously, if the nutrient like nitrogen, phosphorus is going to there in the treated water, it is going to create eutrophication, which is nothing but these are the effect of this eutrophication. Like your species diversity is going to get decreased, and your plant and biomass, animal biomass is going to get increased. Your turbidity is it is nothing but the entire lake or the river body is going to get spoiled because the oxygen it is going to get depleted over there. So we should it is a need of the hour that these nutrients needs to be removed from the water. So we can, if the water is going to send into the effluent water is going to send into the river body, it needs to be treated properly, and these nutrients needs to be removed properly. If we are not going to give proper care, then we are going to lose our water bodies. And nitrogen, phosphorus are essential growth elements for microorganism. So this will be always creating problem, because if this nutrient is not going to get removed properly, obviously our water body is going to get spoiled. If the cell mass contain greater than 12% of nitrogen and 2% of phosphorus by weight, it is if we are going to do engineer and we are going to remove greater than these percentage, that is 12% of nitrogen and 2% of phosphorus by weight, it is called as biological nutrient removal. See, there is a simple measure that how we are going to treat it. We should take our COD and we should take our BOD. If it is coming less than 2, obviously we can go for biological treatment. If the COD and if the COD divided by BOD is coming greater than 6, it is not suitable for biological. Obviously, we have to go for other treatments like anaerobic or something else. Steps involved in biological nutrient removal is, first is nitrification. We should understand what is nitrification and what is denitrification and what is phosphorus removal. Nitrification is nothing but it is a two-step process where ammonia is getting converted to nitrite and nitrate is getting converted to nitrate. It is done by these two bacteria known as Nitrosomas and Nitrobacter. If you see the percentage of these bacteria in the water body, it will be less than 2%. So these bacteria, if you see, they are very sensitive. So they will be very sensitive to the temperature, even the pH, available pH, all these things. So these population is very less also. Hence, these nitrification and nitrification needs to be given proper care. Else, we'll be losing the population. Again, we need to stabilize the biological treatment. It takes some time to do the establishments. For conversion of this ammonia, for the conversion of this ammonia to nitrate, will be oxygen required is 3.56 some grams of oxygen required to convert 1 gram of ammonia. And for converting this nitrite into nitrate, it will be required another 1.1. So totally we'll be requiring 4.57 grams of oxygen to convert ammonia to nitrate. And we'll be consuming calcium carbonate, alkalinity also 7.14 gram for this conversion. And what is the purpose of denitrification? Why denitrification is required? If you go for denitrification, it is nothing but conversion of nitrate to nitrogen gas by heterotrophic organism. By doing this nitrate, we can recover alkalinity of 3.6 gram. There I already told you that you need to consume 7.14. Here, this 3.6 milligram of alkalinity will be credited. Obviously, if you are going for nitrification, denitrification needs to be done, because there are so many processes where they will not be giving priority to denitrification. For example, if you take MLE process, there it will be obviously only nitrification, and obviously will be going for phosphorus removal. You will not be having denitrification process because they will not have anaerobic tank. So wherever you are going for nitrification purpose, it is better to go for denitrification this thing also, so that you can take the credit of 3.6 milligram of alkalinity of calcium carbonate and 2.9 milligram of oxygen. So therefore, by combining this nitrification, denitrification, partial alkalinity recover and oxygen credit can be attained. And what is phosphorus removal? Phosphorus removal is nothing but we will be calling it as phosphorate active organism. It is also belongs to heterotrophic bacteria. Again, this phosphorus removal, if you see, it is a two-stage process. First, anaerobic conditions will be there, then it will be taken to aerobic condition. Under anaerobic condition, if you see that PAO will already have stored food, it will take large amount of phosphorus into the cells called as polyphosphates. These polyphosphates are nothing but they are energy storage batteries. Under the aerobic condition, those batteries get break down, and they'll be using that energy to easily take the biodegradable volatile fatty acids. These phosphorus accumulating organisms polymerize the store volatile fatty acid into the cell, which is nothing but PHB. So under aerobic condition, these PAO will metabolize polyhydroxy alkaloids, which is nothing but PHA to generate the energy and uptake the phosphorus. So understanding the basic concept of nitrification, denitrification, and phosphorus we'll be going why this study is being occurred. If you see in our country that approximately, as per the report of CPCB 2013, approximately 68,000 mld of seawater is being treated every day, of which only 40% is being collected and treated properly. That too from Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 cities. If you see the major rivers like Ganga, Brahmaputra, Mahanadi, all the rivers which has been polluted because of this improper nutrient removal. So NGT has came up last year with stringent norms that this biological nutrient removal needs to be done for the older plants, and for the what are the new plants are going to come, it needs to also come with this biological nutrient removal. Because if you see any STPs in India, especially this municipal treatment plants, they will not give consideration for this nitrogen and phosphorus. They will be always speaking only of the terminology called BOD, COD, total TSS, TDS, all these aspects only. They will not give priority for this nitrogen and phosphorus removal. So NGT has given direction that all the new STPs water is going to come after this thing. It needs to have this biological nutrient removal. And even they are given some guidelines for the older plants also. Within span of 7 years, all these older plants needs to be retrofitted. They too needs to have they need to accommodate for this nitrogen and phosphorus removal in the older design also. So they are given a stringent norm, but if you see that they have taken some stay order in the court, some legal issues are going on in this aspect. But we can anticipate that this rule is going to come into the things very shortly. So if you see NGT, they have revised the norms of nitrogen that it should be less than 10 milligram per liter, and for phosphorus removal it should be 1 milligram per liter. Other things of BOD should be less than 10, COD should be less than 50, and total suspended solute should be less than 10. This is a thing which CPHO also even spell out the same thing, that all the effluent treated water should follow these norms. First, we should understand what are the different types of treatment methods available in the wastewater. First, it is called as primary treatment. Primary treatment is nothing but it is only a physical unit operation, like just filtering the suspended solids, which is called as screening, then removing the grid, then we will be having skimmers, then your primary clarifiers. All these treatment units are called as primary treatment. Secondary treatment is nothing but your chemical and biological unit processes, which is nothing but our biological treatment, which is and followed by our secondary clarifiers. Tertiary treatment is nothing but it is used for disinfection, which popularly called as chlorination, UV, or ozonization. All this will comes under tertiary. Even your pressure sand filters, activated carbon filters will comes under tertiary treatment, which will be acting as a polishing units. And we should understand what are the pattern of reactors are available, because here also if you see there are many reactors available, like batch reactor if you see, which is nothing but your SBR. SBR is nothing called as sequential batch reactor, which I'll be explaining to you in the later part of the presentation. And if you see plug flow, here it will be a sort of a pipe like this thing, where your length will be much more, your width will be less. Then you should have ideal continuous flow, where your all this thing, because all these things if you see that these are in suspended this thing, but the bacteria will be growing in the suspended state. It will not be attached growth process. And your arbitration flow is nothing but combination of your plug flow and your continuous flow. Even you can have your reactors series or parallel combination. However, as per the requirement of your BOD and COD this thing, you can decide the things. We have free this thing to decide. And to have an idea of how the bacteria is going to grow in the batch process, if you see with respect to time, this is the growth of the microorganism. In the log phase, if you see that your BOD is nothing but the food. Food is nothing but the carbon source which is available. So in the log phase, in under the batch process, bacteria started to grow. In the declining phase, whatever the food you are going to give, they will take to certain extent. Once it is been then it will go into the saturated growth. Matlab there, if you see that your BOD is not going to available in the water, so it will get stabilized. Then here, if you see the curve, it is getting decreased because the bacteria's protoplasm themselves they are going to eat, and the population is going to reduce. So we should select at which stage we are going to keep our this thing, so that in each and every this thing, our bacteria needs food, and we should ensure that this is not going into the endogenous growth phase, because once we lose our bacteria, then our again establishing the entire biological treatment, it takes 3 to 4 years for establishing the plant also. If you take any A2O plant, or if you take any SBI plant, all the things. And in the continuous system, it is all here also. If you see F by M is nothing but food to the microbes, and this is the rate of the metabolism. So it is not like that whenever you are going to give more food, the bacteria is going to grow, because always you should keep the bacteria also under starving condition. So in the continuous system, it is always better to keep the bacteria in between endogenous growth and decline growth phase. And as I told you earlier that there are certain types of biological reactors also available, which is nothing but your suspended growth process and your attached growth process. What are the things I've discussed in SBR, A2O, MLA, all these things, which will be suspended growth process. In the attached growth process, will be having certain sort of media. Your media can be either plastic, your media can be either sand, gravel, whatever it is. These bacteria will be attached to this sand, gravel, plastic, whatever it is, and the growth will be taking place. In the suspended growth, it will be floating here and there, and the microbial populations will be happening. ASM models are nothing but activated sludge model, because if you see that ASM were the original thing, from where your activated sludge process, from activated sludge process only, these ASM models has been created. What is the need of these ASM models? Because these ASM models, if you see that they are more efficient, they are more reliable, and we can have more cost efficient treatment technologies for biological nutrient. What are the benefits of ASM models? Why we are going for ASM model? If there is no models is been there is no kinetic model, because to understand how your microorganism is going to behave, there are many kinetic softwares available in the market. The names of the popular names is BioWin, GPX, West, all these things. In this thing, BioWin and GPX are basically from Canada, and West, if you see that, it is from Belgium. All these softwares, if you see that, they will exactly predict how your microorganisms is going to behave. By understanding the kinetics of the microorganisms, you can able to make your treatment more effective, in the sense you can reduce the chemicals, because if you does not have any knowledge of these things, you can't able to establish even during O&M operations also, and for design also, because we will be always as per CPH or this thing, we will be always ending up with the over designs. So these ASM and if you go for any prototype, again for making a prototype, obviously you have to spend more cost, you have to spend more time to establish the things. By creating the ASM models, it will be more cost effective, and it will be sharing you abundance of informations, and it will be given in shorter period of time. Various operation conditions we can use models for creating the various conditions, and it can be analyzed very quickly also. So we are going for this ASM models. And I told you earlier, this BioWin is nothing but a kinetic software. which is used for wastewater treatment process stimulator. It can be used for designing a new plant, for upgrading, and for optimizing the wastewater plants. The main objective of the main objective is to help both the process engineer or process designer and the operator also, who is going to make the plant functional in the operation and maintenance period. Most types of the wastewater systems can be configured by BioWin, and it is having all sort of models, like you can go for aerobic, anaerobic. All the models prototypes are available in this software. And here I have given some few equations. If you see that X is nothing but your microorganism with respect to time, and all these softwares has been developed based on the Monod's equation, which is nothing but mu is equal to mu max, which is nothing but mu is equal to mu max. Yes, S is nothing but the substrate, and we know Ks plus S. Ks is nothing but half velocity constant. These software also works on the same principle how this Monod's equation, but S is nothing but your substrate, Ks is your half velocity constant, and this is the oxygen requirement for these heterotrophic barriers. So these equations has been developed. So to validate how this softwares, whether the softwares are giving us the results properly or not, what I have done is I have taken one sample plan, and for doing that, first I have to make an STP of capacity of 100 mld. But for doing my designs, I need both my influent parameters and effluent parameters. Influent parameters, I collected the sample from Nesapakam STP, and it is being stabilized by what is my BOD, it is going to come, COD is going to come, TDS, TSS, all these parameters has been taken. And this I have taken for my initial preliminary input. And effluent parameters, whatever as per the CPHU is there, as I told you earlier, that my BOD should be less than 10, COD should be less than 50, TSS should be less than 20, TDS, all these things, norms has been fixed. By knowing that what is my inflow and what is my effluent parameters, I have designed a plan for 100 mlt capacity, which I'll be discussing with you shortly. This is a process flowchart for SBR. SBR is nothing but sequential batch reactor. Here, if you see that this is a biological treatment unit, here we'll be having screens, then followed by grid, and we'll be having WES. WES matlab waste activated sludge, and we will have having a disinfection, and we can send it to the this thing. And I have shown the cross section of the SBR so that for someone it can give some idea. If you see that after the influent sewer, after screening and this thing, it will be sent into this tank. This zone is called as a selector zone, where you will not find any oxygen. Here, if you see that these are the diffusers, coarse bubble diffusers. I have shown an erector this thing. It will look at side. We will have some pipes, and all these are coarse bubble diffusers, which will be supplying the oxygen to the entire tank. And we can have some mixers also in case you wanted to have a completely mixed flow, all these things. And we'll be having a WS for wasting the surplus thing, water it is getting stored at the bottom. And this is nothing but a decanter, which take the clean water and it would be 10 for the effluent discharge. If you take SBR, it will be having 4 steps. First step is nothing but fill. Second one is react, then settle, draw, and idle. If you go for this fill phase, it's nothing but you will be receiving your wastewater. You will just and all this SBR, if you see, it will be working on a batch flow only. Matlab, you will take one batch, and after that you will and these SBR will always have 2 tanks. One if one tank is going to receive the sewer, other 2 tanks will have a different functional. Like one will have fill and aerate process, other will have settle and decant, which will happen simultaneously. So if you go for SBR technology, always you should have 2 tanks of equal volume. During the react phase, you will have the coarse bubble diffusers erected at the bottom of the tanks. To these coarse bubble diffusers, you will be giving oxygen to the plant by means of this aeration, which is this is going to happen in the react phase. During the settle phase, what will happen is that after giving the oxygen, you are giving certain time for this sludge to get settled down. So if you see that the sludge will be settled down at the bottom, and the clear water will be available at the top of this thing. Generally, these tanks will be designed in the range of 5 to 6 meters depth. So 3 meters will be there for your sludge, and another 3 meters will be available for your water. And these sludge, if you see that these things can be wasted using our WS pumps, which are told earlier. That is, you are wasting the sludge. Up to 75% of the sludge, you can waste it. Balance sludge, you are keeping it because it can be used for the further treatment. And in the decant phase, if you see, this is what the closer view of this decanter, where the clear water will be collected at the top, and through these pipes it will be collected and it will be taken off. And the final phase, if you see in the SBR technology, is idle phase, where it is nothing but it will be idle for only few minutes only, because after that again your operation gets started. Why we are going for SBR? SBR is this technology. Using this technology, you can avoid your LCU, like civil units of equalization tank can be avoided. You can avoid your primary clarification. You can avoid your biological treatment, and you can avoid your secondary clarification. All this process can happen in a single tank itself. So by means of optimizing this thing, you are going to reduce your space. Obviously, SBR is going to, SBR, if you see that it is fully automated, so you can have control over your time also. As I told you that since the space is very less, you are going to have minimal footprint and a high nutrient removal capability. Like what I told is this nitrogen removal, phosphorus removal, it can happen in this SBR system. And if you see that the BOD removal efficiency for SBR, it is in the range of 85 to 90%. And here this filamentous growth elimination can be done, because you are going to give proper time for settling, and you are wasting the excess sludge also. So this filamentous growth can be avoided. The limitations here, if you see that since you are having many sophisticated sensors, all sort of this thing, your cost is going to be slightly higher, but we can always have a since I told you that this nitrogen population of nitrogen bacteria is hardly only 1 to 2%. These populations can be maintained properly using this thing. And finally, that the advantage, as I told earlier, that all the things can happen in a single thing. So always it is better to go for SBR or A2, whatever the thing, as per our influent and effluent, we can use this thing. And it is very good for removing this higher your nitrogen and phosphorus. And this was the model which has been created in the BioWin. Sorry, I forgot to tell you that if you see this fill and if you take any SBR process, it will work only in batches. So if you take this fill and aerate, it will be in the range of 1 to 1.5 hours. If you take this settle, it will be in the range of 30 to 45 minutes. And this decant operation also will happen in the range of 30 to 45 minutes. So roughly all these cycles will happen in 2.5 hours to 3 hours in a day. So you can have 8 to 10 cycles in a day. That is the benefit of this SBR. And this BioWin model has been created in the BioWin. Here, what I have taken, I have made a SBR tank because SBR is a batch process. So whatever the water is going to come, it can't be only for 30 minutes, it can't go out, and for something it will. So we are having a small tank, and it will taken as the thing. What are the excess surplus sludges, sir? I am taking it to the SAS tank, and it is getting wasted over here. You can see the results of the BOD. If you see that, it will be seen as a single line. But if you see, since the graph has been predicted from 0 to 14, here it is, you can able to see as a single line. But if you plot from 6 to 8, you can see what is the difference in your BOD is going to happen because you are stimulating the STP, and you can see what is the BOD is going to come and how it is getting fluctuated. So these are the advantage of using the ASM software. Is nothing but the BioWin, because you can able to, without constructing the plant, you can able to see how the plant is going to behave, like whether what is the BOD is going to come, what is the COD is going to come. If you see the graph here also it gives a clear picture. See, as per CPHO, it should be less than 10, sorry, less than 50. But even we can see what are the variations is going to happen. If you see that slightly it is getting decreased over here. So all these variations can be studied before designing the plan. So you can optimize, even in the volume can be optimized, even your F/M ratios can be optimized. All this optimization can take place. Even if you see the total suspended solids, how it is going to behave, it is showing a clear-cut picture. If you take your total nitrogen or the ammonical nitrogen, how it is going to behave, all these parameters, each and every parameters can be studied, and it we can have a clear-cut this thing in our designing stage itself, so that during design phase we can optimize the plant to a great extent. And this is a process flowchart for A2O. A2O is nothing but anaerobic, anoxic, and oxic. In anaerobic, if you see, the only difference which will happen here between SBR and here is, as I told you earlier, in SBR we will not have this primary clarifiers, we will not have this secondary clarifier, all these things. Putting together, it is only SBR tank. But if you go for A2O process, you will have more tanks here, and you will have a primary clarifier. And if you see that anaerobic is nothing but you will not have oxygen in this tank. Anoxic is nothing but you will have little oxygen, and oxic is nothing but you will be supplying oxygen to this thing. And here you will have your recycle to anaerobic, and you will have your IR pumps from oxic to this thing to have balance of this to create this nitrification, denitrification, and phosphorus removal. What is the advantage of A2O is in this A2O treatment scheme also you can have nitrogen and phosphorus removed. And here also, as I told you earlier, since you are going for denitrification, this thing, you are having this portion of alkyl, whatever the alkalinity consumed in the aerobic, it is going to get recovered in. You will be getting the credit of both alkalinity and oxygen also. In other ways, that if you are not going to have a denitrification treatment scheme in your system, obviously, if this oxygen credit is not going to give one this thing, obviously you have to go for a bigger blower capacity, which is going to supply oxygen. And if you see that any treatment plant, that blowers are major power consumers. So by having these denitrification process in the system, you can reduce the power, and thereby your O&M and other costs can come down very drastically, because your blowers are going to consume major power. Roughly, it will be in the range of 65 to 70% of power requirement in the entire STP. Other units, if you see that they are not going to consume major power. But so always it is better to have a denitrification process also, so that your alkalinity and your oxygen is you are going to get credit on this account. And the what are the disadvantage I feel here is, as I told you, that you will have larger volume of aeration tanks, and you will be having many units like your primary clarifiers, your secondary clarifiers, and your biological treatment also will be having 3 separate tanks. And SRT is nothing but this sludge retention time. If you see the SRT also, it is slightly higher compared to this SBR technology. And these nitrogen removal bacteria, if you see that, as I told you, it is very sensitive. So we need to have a optimum SRT, so that your both your nitrogen and phosphorus removal is going to take place in the same system. This is what the model has been created for an A2O thing. Like we'll be having our raw influent sewage will be coming here. We'll be having our anaerobic tank, anoxic tank, and aerobic tank. As I told, that anaerobic tank will not have oxygen. So here it is only a mixer. In anoxic also it's same this thing. In aerobic, see, if you see the bubbles, which is nothing but we are supplying the oxygen. And it is getting recirculated also. And through IR also, we are sending it here. So if you see the result, this is the design comparison which are made for an 100 mLT plant. For 100 mLT plant, if you see that the volume of the tank should be rough, for A2 system, it will be roughly in the range of 80,000. For SBR, it is only 70,000. see, you can have a huge savings on concrete in terms of this thing itself. And if you see the retention period also, hydraulic retention, HRT, which we term as HRT, which is nothing but theta is equal to V by Q. For A2, it is 19 hours. For SBR, it is only 17 hours. Even SRT also, if you see that it is here, minimum 10 days is required. And for here, we can have 15 days. Even depth also, if you see that it is much more, 7 meters we have to go for here. And here we can go for 5 or 6 meters is sufficient. MLSS is nothing but your mixed liquid successor solids, where here you will be having in the range of 3,500. In SBR, you can have greater MLSS because of the technical advantage. And your F by M is nothing but foot to the microbes. Here it will be 0.2. Here it can be maintained in the range of 0.11. So if you see in the SBR, this give technical advantage for the system also. But here the only complex is that we should have a good operator, because here a lot of sophisticated instruments and sensors will be installed. So during O&M, they need to take care of these things. After feeding the result of my influent and effluent parameters, if you see that the SBR and A2, both the things are giving very good results. If you see that the nitrogen in the SBR is 6.16, less than 6, here it is less than 8, phosphorus is 1 and 1.4 for all these things. If you go for TSS, TDS, it will not, because biological treatment, it will not have any impact on this TDS. So if you wanted to remove this TDS, you should go for some disk filters or the dual media filters or any other membrane technology to remove the TDS. Balance all the parameters, we will have good control either in SBR or A2O or MLE, whatever it is. And to verify the result, whatever I had taken, what I got, I thought of validating the software also. So what I thought is I'll be taking a plan. I have taken some plans of Delhi. And this is what the sewage it was, because the plant has been designed, this plant has been designed for 2 MLT capacity. But if you see that we never got this 2 MLT capacity, always it will be always fluctuating. That is, sometimes we'll be getting 0.8, sometimes we'll be getting 1.2. So I have taken this plant for my research testing, and I have established all these parameters. I have taken the influent parameters, all again BOD, COD. These parameters has been taken only to establish whether my BioVin has been working properly or not, to verify that I have taken these things. So all these influent parameters has been collected from the Delhi plant. And these are the effluent parameters, which is also known because the plant has been already in the working condition. So I have modeled this MLE also. As I told you earlier, in MLE that you will not have only the anaerobic tank. Balance all this thing it will remain same as your A2O. MLE is nothing but modified Ludschack-Ettinger process. After doing this model, I was getting the output that if you see that the original results of STP was this thing, which I have in my hand. After modeling that design into using this BioVin, if you see that in plant we are getting 2.8 as your BOD in the effluent treatment, whereas it is possible to make 1.8 also. If you see that there is a difference of 30%. In other way, if you see that the plant is not operating in a proper way, it can be optimized and it can function more efficiently. It is possible. Using this software, we can make those small corrections so that you can have your plant in a more efficient and functional things. And if you see that they are not maintained the higher in the range of 200, but they can increase and it is possible to maintain also. Even if you see that MLSS growth also was not proper in the original plant when I was visited, it grew in the range of 2000 only. But this MLSS can be increased to 2600 because they have some issues on since Delhi, sometimes it is getting into cold and sometimes it is having hot all these things. Their mass population of microbes also, it is creating some issues for them, but it is possible to make the things. And if you see that HRT of anaxic tank is not, it has to be improved slightly so that you can get your efficient effluent treatment. So if you see that obviously the plant this thing, BOD has been removed to 98%, COD has been removed to 88%, and TS has been removed here for 96%. This is your inlet parameter of the wastewater, and this is a effluent parameter of the thing after letting into land this thing. So if you see that removal efficiency is also very good of this plant. Thank you, sir. Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Sir, presentation completed, sir.
Presentation completed, sir. Okay, okay, sir. I will look for some questions from the audience if any. Is there any?
Yes, sir. You can ask, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, there was one question which is asked from the audience.
Yes, sir.
Which type of ETP operation for a effluent from food processing plant you will recommend? Effluent characteristics are BOD 18,500 milligram per liter, COD 56,000 milligram per liter, TDS 4,000 milligram per liter, TSS 4,400 milligram per liter, and pH of 4. I hope this question is clearly asked by the attendee, one of the. I hope so.
Sir, if you go for TDS removal and all, you can have your RO systems, reverse osmosis. But for ETPs, we should see the entire characteristics, whether it is purely textile or what is this thing, sir?
He has not mentioned any particular criteria, sir. Food processing, he mentioned only.
Because food processing, I presume that your BOD and COD only would be there. You will not have any other paramedical waste or anything will not be there.
Okay, sir.
In that case, it is possible to go, as I told you in the earlier, you can go for anaerobics.
Okay.
Because if a BOD and COD is going to come greater than 6, obviously it is not viable to go for biological treatment. We can go for anaerobic system, sir. Followed by
okay,
your
sir.
yes, sir.
I'm looking for more questions. Actually, I'm not getting much questions. Participants, you can, if you have questions, you can post it in the chat box. And anyone who wants to ask questions directly to the speaker, put a palm mark there. I will unmute you appropriately. I think one more question is coming. Okay, yes, I'm looking for. Yes, sir. One participant wants to ask you the question directly. I will just.
Yes,
Dr. Praveen Sukraj. And I'm just. Dr. Praveen Sukraj, you can ask the question now.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Praveen, you can ask the question directly to the speaker,
Okay.
sir.
Sir, actually, the food processing industry, which I have mentioned, actually, it is a resin manufacturing plant. I mean, grapes are converted into a resin. They have their ETP installed, but it seems it's not working. I have not visited the site, but that director of the that industry has posted me these characteristics. So that's why I was looking for possible suggestions from your side. BOD and COD is certainly on a higher side, sir.
Yeah, it is very higher, sir. And if you see that it is coming greater than 4 times, if you see that it is there roughly. So you can either have your pre-aeration. You can see, first of all, you have to think what is the budget, sir, because based on the thing also you can change all the parameters. But conventionally, if you see that, you can go for some pre-aeration, then you can take into your have your primary, secondary biological and this thing, or even you can go for SBI also. Still, SBI can take it up. If they feel that they have to produce some energy and something out of that, you can go for anaerobics, where you can get energy also, but it will be slightly costlier. But if you see that anaerobic is not very popular in this country because we don't have skilled laborers in this country, sir. That is the only issue in here we are facing.
Hello, sir. Sir, good morning.
Is Mr. Selukar? You can ask, sir.
Yeah. Sir, myself, Dr. Balaji Shelukar. My question is that, is it possible to know the biological impurities present in water just by looking the appearance of water?
So by looking, if you see that, you can see only TDS and total suspended solids, sir. You can't see BOD, COD, pH, all these things cannot be seen by visible this thing. But you can see what is the total suspended solids by seeing it, sir. Whether it is impure or it is clear, like that you can see. That is the only thing. And you can see to
Is there
certain extent of the steepness.
Right.
Okay, is there any smell of water that we can say, oh, this is biological impurity, have lot and less like that?
So is there? I can't get you, sir.
Is there any possibility there's water smell? Some odor of water is like that, something bad. So can we say that this water contains lot of biological impurities, less impurity like that?
Sorry, your odor is nothing but your hydrogen sulfide gas and all these things, sir. It is something different. Your odor and your BOD, COD is not having any link, sir. If the water is having odor, it is nothing but it is having some little amount of methane and some hydrogen sulfide gas. Due to that thing only, you are getting smell from the water, sir. But there is no linkage between BOD, COD and your this thing, sir. If you take any grey water, if you say that, it will not have any smell at all. But if you see in certain anaerobic or some place, you will have great odor only because of this hydrogen sulfide gas only, sir.
Thank you, sir. One question asked from the presenter is, as far as nitrogen and phosphorus scavenging is concerned, apart from Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter, what are the other organisms you suggest? Are there better performers than these two bacteria?
Right now, if you see that we are not going for any specific because as I told you earlier that this Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter, if you see in the entire population of the microbial growth, it is only hardly 1 or 2%. Sir. So you can go for any commercial thing whichever it is available in the market, but we don't see any sort of result as of now. We are going only with this Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter only. But
Okay,
many
sir.
commercial bacteria also available in the market. You can use it and you can test it also. Sir. That is not we can see. But the population of these bacteria, if you see that itself, it is very less. So it needs to be maintained properly, like your pH, your temperature, all these parameters need to be maintained properly. If that is not going to matter, you will lose this population also. But you can go for this commercial software, sir. We don't have any issues in that.
Okay, sir. I think that's the thing. We have the questions. It seems. Thank you, Dr. Ganesh, for giving a very wonderful presentation.
I need to thank you really, sir.
It's been an honor from our Department of Mechanical Engineering and taking time from your extremely busy schedule, sir. It was a very interactive. I think we could have asked the participants could have asked more questions, but still a lot of it was an eye opener session for many of us, sir. So thank you,
That was
sir.
the reason even I was brushing up with a lot of basics, sir. What is attached load? Because I thought if I directly go into the topic, many people will not get what is idea itself. So I was
Yes, sir.
opening more on introduction. I was giving the preferences only.
Yes, sir.
Personally, I have to thank Dr. MGR University for giving me this opportunity to speak here. And
Yes,
it's my
sir.
great pleasure to do it, sir. I again personally thank Dr. Vijay Kumar, sir, and my professor Amal Raj for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for all.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.